Shinbei, or the old in and out. Trans joy. Combating discrimination, combating transphobia, right? Which internalized. And I've always wondered, like, how do you combat transphobia, and especially in today's world, because that seems to be like the way things are going. People are trying to instill fear. There's a lot of oligarchs nowadays who are attempting to, like, patriarchal oligarchs who are attempting to instill fear and self-hatred into you. And the wife and I did the Watusi earlier, and I had another big O that, like, that is actually very common to me. That was not common to me before I transitioned. And it wasn't something that I was looking for, but it was something that was a byproduct. And I was like, maybe this is estrogen. I think it is. This is kind of like what women experience. And a lot of my experiences have been female experiences, you know, and yet people will come after you and say, you're not female, you don't belong here, we don't know you, the T isn't with the LGB. How do you combat this kind of thing when an oligarch gets up, a dictator gets up and, you know, does a form of fascism to negate the existence of an entire type of person? What do you do to combat that? Shinbei, which is Chinese for the old in and out. Live your best life. Be happy. Do the things that make you happy. You know, when you're having a bad day, when you're feeling, when the world's turned against you, do what comes natural, right? And I think partly a way of combating the amount of depression, and this is not really something I've ever spoke about before. Elliot Page beat me to the punchline, but find happiness. You know, another way that people can find happiness sometimes, which is kind of, is in meditation, but we're not talking about that. You know, I'm saying go out and be happy. Wear the clothes you want to wear, right? Use the pronouns you want to use. You know, go do what it is that makes you happy and makes you, so that you don't want to, like, do something horrible to yourself or something. Choose joy. Choose euphoria. You know, instead of wallowing in the dysphoria, be brave and, you know, relish the euphoria. You know, that's one of the things with the LGBT, that, like, a lot of people have attempted to bust down gay people. You know, one of their ways of combating is sex. Shinbei. Seeking joy, seeking happiness, seeking positivity. You know, because especially with us, right? When it's like, you know, your stuff down below is not your gender identity. These are two different things, right? Your genitals and your gender identity are two different things, right? But sexuality, you know, when you are in the midst of that, right, it's incredibly self-evident. It's incredibly self-evident who and what you are, right? And other people will come along and they will try to destroy your happiness, right? How do you combat that? With joy, with happiness. Go out, live your best life. Be your, you know, as a lot of people say in this, be your authentic self, right? If you're depressed and having a bad day, I went through a long period of depression where I was not really a part of the world, and one of the ways that I managed to pull through that was rubbing one out. It's not, like people, like, for example, people who become like catatonically depressed, sometimes what they do is they teach them to rub one out, right? And it'll bring you back a level of happiness, right? You can't, it's not yet 1984, so you can still choose happiness. You know, don't be scared to wear the clothes that you want, that you feel like make you look good, to wear the jewelry that you want. Don't be afraid to use pronouns. Don't be afraid to, you know, wear makeup if you want to wear makeup. You know, if you're non-binary, don't be afraid to hide it. If you're binary like me, but you're a girl who transitioned, don't be afraid to hide it. Be your true, unadulterated self. Don't be afraid to find a partner. Be wise. You know, I don't know that. Be safe. Be safe about it, right? But choose to be yourself. Choose to be happy. You know, you'll find a lot of girls like me, for example, you know, you'll find that you suffer horrible dysphoria. And any little thing, the way somebody looks at you, the way somebody talks to you, somebody's giggle, somebody's, you know, you don't know how this person, why this person's looking at you the way that they're looking at you, right? You know, or somebody who's going to oppress you for your sexual orientation or what you're wearing. You know, I go through all this crap all the time. I go through this crap all the time. You know, in the US, there's 1.6 million people going through this crap because you have a fascist dictator who's coming after the LGBT. And be rest assured, right? Once they're done with us, they're coming for you. In Nazi Germany, there was a saying, or I don't know if it was a joke or a saying, but, you know, it was kind of like, I don't remember exactly, but it was of the nature that, like, you know, when they came for them, we didn't know what to do, right? When they came for them, we were too afraid. You know, when they came for me, there was nobody left. I was on my own. And you are largely on your own. But my advice, keep going. Choose, that's, you know, that's largely what this is all about, right? Is choosing to be gay, choosing to be happy. You know, like the LGBT had their day, you know, the struggle's still real, but the LGBT had their day where it was like, you know, if you were the flaming gay dude, they just went up bed and were the flaming gay dude. Don't hide it. Don't suppress it. And one of the fundamental aspects of joy, there's kind of two fundamental aspects of joy. And never mind, find joy, find happiness. Like, go out, be yourself, be happy, do the things that make you happy, you know, and when the world knocks you down, go home, rip it out and have a big O, right? It's like internalized homophobia. What way do you combat internalized homophobia, right? With homosexual shindig. Because you would innately know who and what you are in that moment. You know what makes you happy. What strengthens a gay relationship? Happiness. Happiness in bed. The straight people, they don't have to think about this. They don't have to think about it. There's no restraints. It all comes naturally. Maybe women have to feel a certain shame. Straight girls have to feel a certain shame in regards to their orientation, or, well, not orientation, but like in regards to their sense of their shingbang, their happiness. Their sense of joy. You know, it's interesting too, because it's like with all the guys that I was with, and I'm not gnashing anybody's sexual orientation, all the guys I was with, I never had that. I was never happy. Another female experience. Choose to be happy. And sometimes the best way that you can choose to be happy is just starting here.